Greetings and welcome to Words About Games breakdown of EGX 2019 with Amy and Keith. One of us was at EGX 2018. This is the general introduction to all of the EGX videos that we're going to be putting out over the course of the next week. So if you watch all the videos, you'll see this like 10 times. Just I didn't want to get off track in the beginning, but hey, it's us. I was at EGX. Keith wasn't. I played a ton of games. Keith doesn't know anything about any of them because we haven't seen each other since I got back from London. So we're going to talk about them. All of them. It's separated into categories that make sense if you're at the show and probably make sense. I hope they make sense. If you weren't at the show, either way, thumbs up. I have 7 games of the show and I made this. So I'm going to be giving these out as we do the podcast. So keep an eye out for my 7 best games of EGX with the little hearts and stuff. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to future Keith and future Amy, who are going to be having lots of conversations about video games.
Over to you, future me.
Keith, let's talk about some indie games. This won't take long because a lot of the demos were really short. Inmost. This one's already out on Apple Arcade, but it's not like on anything I've got access to yet. So it hit me in the feels in ways I wasn't expecting. There's 3 characters in this game. One of them is a little girl trapped in a house. Another one is an old man. I don't know what his part of the story is. And there's a third one at night. Didn't get to play as the knight. Played as a little girl. Felt really bad for everything that she was going through because she was having a tough time of it in this house all by herself in a lightning storm, and it was very scary. The old man was the meat of the game of the demo that I played, and so it's like puzzle platforming, like dodging stuff, pushing things around, jumping over stuff. And at one point, I found this kid next to a well, and he's sitting like there's like the well, and there's like a dip, and he's sitting on the edge of the dip. And you go up to him, and he's like, I dropped my key down the well. And I was like, well, I'm going in that direction anyway. So in my head, I'm just like, well, I'll go and get your key. Like, I'll be the nice person, the nice protagonist, right? In a video game. So I jumped over him to get to the well, as you do. It's a platformer. And because I jumped over him, I knocked him into the ditch. And he was like, why did you do that? And I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Like, oh my God, I feel terrible. And he just kept telling me to go away. I was like, I just wanted to go and get your key. Oh, I felt awful. And then I saw him later, and he was like, oh, I want to get through this door, but the lever's broke. And I need to get through this door. So I was like, I went off, did the thing, found the lever. And then I was like, I opened the door. And then I was like, okay. Like... And he was like, oh, thank you, you've opened the door. But I don't really know if I want to go through anymore. Like, he's scared to go through the door. I was like, oh, shit. And then I went through the door, and then there was a monster in there. And what you're supposed to do is you climb down a ladder. You go through the door, climb down a ladder. And then the monster's like, and you can't fight it, so you have to run. And what you're supposed to do is climb up the ladder, and it boosts into the wall, and then you jump over it, and you get past it. I didn't know that the first time, so I panicked, right? And I was like, fuck, I need to get away from this monster. So I climbed up the ladder, and I went through, like I ran away to the other side, where this kid was still sitting. And I was like, it's fine, I'm just going to run. And then, like, I got through, and then it's like a scripted event, and this kid was just standing there, and I just got fucking skewered through the side of the screen, like, fucking, obviously killed. And this kid was just like, I was like, damn. I'm gonna be traumatizing this kid, like, through the entirety of this game, aren't I? That's what's gonna happen. Like, oh man.
Not if you're dead.
I mean, yeah, like, obviously I then redid the thing. I was so terrified I was gonna knock, because, like, you have to platform your way up to this level. The kid, yeah. I was so terrified. I spent a good, like, 90 seconds. I pulled the lever, and I needed to get across, and I was like, I don't want to jump across, because if I jump across and I knock him off... Like, and he falls down the thing, I'm just going to be like, I have to just walk away from this game. Like, I played the game for 15 minutes, and congratulations, you made me feel things. This game looks awesome. so awesome that it's my 6th best game of EGX 2019. Don't worry, Keith, there's only one more after this. Inmost. It's coming soon to Steam and Switch. It's on Apple Arcade if you've got that. Now, let's have a look at this list. Keith?
Yeah.
You like XCOM, right?
Yeah.
Then you should keep an eye out on Narcos: Rise of the Cartels. Not because it's a tie into the Netflix series that I didn't know existed until Saturday afternoon, but because it's an XCOM-like game, and it's actually quite cool to play. It's very weird, because it's a Netflix tie-in, it uses footage from the series. Like, in the introductions, when it's introducing you to the different characters. And it's, like, using, like, certain, like, parts of scenes. But once you got into the game, it's XCOM, tactical style XCOM gameplay. A lot of fun. Just like, you know how XCOM plays. Like, the strategy is exactly that. It's a bit more involved in that, like, when you do like a reaction shot, you know, when an enemy moves across, and like you can shoot them if you're in Overwatch. Instead of being in Overwatch, you have reaction points which you build up as you're playing through the level. So like, if you've got enough reaction points and someone runs across, you start shooting at them, but you actually do the aiming and the shooting. It's like when you do a critical, instead of doing extra damage, you actually like do the normal damage that you would do, and then you get the opportunity to like aim and shoot, like third person over the shoulder style, which was kind of cool. Like, it wasn't great that the controller was set to inverted, so I kept missing all of my shots because inverted is for terrible, awful human beings.
Inverted is for flight controllers.
Yeah, so I played a couple of levels of that. There was a there was other stuff like outside of it that I didn't get a great deal to look at. Like, it's not just XCOM in terms of its tactical gameplay. There's also like, you recruits and you level people up, and like you can lose people. Like, people can die, people can get injured, stuff like that. Like the XCOM style of gameplay goes deeper than just the shooting part. Like, there's also like some strategy stuff to it. I don't know anything about Narcos, so like, whether it's a good adaptation or not, I've got no idea. It seems like one of those shows where the good guys are really the bad guys, and the bad guys are just the bad guys as well, and everybody's the bad guy, and it's bad, and everything's bad. Let's talk about these. I'll talk about these next three really quickly. Eastward was like a fun JRPG inspired RPG. But like, I don't really have anything too much to say about it. Like, I had a good time with it. You should go and look it up if you like JRPGs. CrisTales is the same. It's a fun JRPG inspired RPG with amazing. Like, I had never heard of this game. It wasn't on my list. I looked at it because the art was incredible. Like, if you look it up and look at the art, you'll see what I mean. But like, it's got this really cool hook where the protagonist shatters the crystals of time, and so she can see the past, present, and future simultaneously. And the way that works in the game is, because that's gameplay, like, the way that works in the game is you can always see the past, present, and future. And like, if you imagine a monitor and like split it with a triangle, so the protagonist is in the middle, that's the present, and then the future is like here, and the past is here, so you can always see all three. And the whole like story and is built around sort of like things that you do in the present can affect the future, or you can like, there was a moment where it was like, I needed a particular fruit to make a potion, for someone to make a potion, so we went to a place and we planted the tree that had this, that like yielded the fruit. And then I've got this little companion who's a frog with a top hat and a bow tie.
Why not, ladies and gentlemen?
Because it's a JRPG inspired RPG, and like Matthias, I believe was his name, and he can then go to the future. Like you can like teleport him onto the right hand side of the screen into the future to get the fruit, because in the future the tree is grown and the fruit is there, and then you bring it back, and then you've got the fruit that you need. There's like implications that you can do stuff like that in combat as well. Like you can use the past, present, future mechanic in combat, but I didn't get that far. It looks really cool, like, and it sounds really cool. It's coming out next year, and it's called CrisTales, CRIS Tales. There'll be timestamps and links in the bottom of the video if you want to go and check anything out. Eldest Souls is a Dark Souls like. The top-down view.
Yeah.
It's got an amazing soundtrack and the pixel art looks great. But by the time I got round to wandering into its general vicinity, I was not prepared for a Dark Souls like experience. I'm just
Are
not.
you ever prepared for a Dark Souls experience?
When I'm sitting down at home knowing that I'm putting a disc in in the console, like when I was playing Code Vein, yes, I 100% am. When I've just wandered over to a game, even though it's called Eldest Souls, and I kind of figured out it was a Souls-like. Yes. Phogs. Phogs. Ask me what Phogs is. It's nothing to do with. It's nothing to do with Pogs. So Phogs is a co-op
They died
game.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm at peace with that.
Is a co-op game I need to play with you.
Right.
So a Phog is a dog with two heads, red and blue, and it's a puzzle game. And like you can play that, like you play this. Like I played this cooperatively with Kirsty. Like so, we were playing this game together, and literally each person controls one head, and you can stretch, and like you can both move like simultaneously, and it's really really cute. And it's a lot of fun, like solving the puzzles and like trying to work together with this other person, like because you're basically controlling two ends of the same creature. Like there's puzzles in it where it's like one person, like if one like head like bites onto a light source, then the other head has a flashlight coming out of their mouth, like so that other person is basically a torch. And you can like stretch across gaps and like you can like wrap yourself around stuff so that like one person can go and get something while the other person's like tethering them to the world. And I kept trolling Kirsty and stretching out and wrapping us around stuff because I'm just that kind of person. And she should know better because we've played Sea of Thieves together.
Indeed.
And I am fucking terrible to play Sea of Thieves with me. I'm apparently not great to play Phogs with either. It's a lot of fun. I think we'd get a kick out of it, playing it. The two of us. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not on a level of like A Way Out or anything. Like, but in terms of like having a fun experience, like we were standing and there was me and Kirsty and then there's Tark and someone else, I can't remember who was actually playing with Tark, but we were racing each other through the demo because we were side by side on the two machines. And we had a really good time with it. Like, I really did. Let's talk about Summerford really quickly, which is a classic survival horror game. And when I say classic, I mean classic. Because it's got the fixed static camera angles. It's got a creepy school. It's definitely inspired by both Silent Hill and Resident Evil. And are you starting to see why I sat down to play this game now?
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, it's probably a bit too simple and it's a bit janky. But it's also an indie game that definitely hasn't been finished yet. But Summerford, if you like classic Silent Hill and classic Resident Evil, is something you should probably keep an eye on, because unlike that one that came out a couple of years ago, I can't remember its name now, I've purged it from my memory, it's actually looks quite promising. And I spoke to the developer, and she was like super interested in taking on board like feedback, especially considering I broke it, which is a habit I've picked up at these shows. The only other game I want to talk about from the res section, well, actually, there's two. Like, one is Retrace, which is a cool indie game where it's like you get kidnapped and like it's you and a friend and you have to. It's a very much an adventure game, but you should look it up if you like adventure games. Like I'm talking like classic adventure games where it's like you got all this weird shit in your inventory, and none of it makes any sense, but all of it will be useful. Like at some point for solving the really weird puzzles. Monkey Island, yeah. But it's like pixel art, it's like top down. It's horror-esque. And I watched the
development. I've been thinking about Monkey Island recently.
Nice. Like I don't know if it's anything like Monkey Island, just apart from that inventory thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to lead people down the wrong path.
Broken Sword, I think, is the one most people go to, but Monkey
Island is ours.
I've played, really. I got stuck on the goat and Broken Sword.
Everybody got stuck on the goat and Broken Sword.
I just stopped. I also got stuck on I think it was the Hammerhead Shark Flamingo bit in Discworld, but that's just me.
Yeah. See, your thing is obviously the goat puzzle from Monkey Island, and mine is the piano puzzle from Silent Hill. Like there's always everybody has that one puzzle that defies all logic and stops them. I didn't experience that in Retrace, and I didn't break it. And I also want to briefly mention Ultra Edge, which is this cool, fast-paced action game by a first-time developer from Korea. I believe it was Korea. They said that the person said they were from. They've been working on it for 5 years, and it's very much very elements of like a Souls-like, but a lot faster paced. And it's all built around like you have different types of weapons, and this weapon is good against mechanical enemies, and this weapon is good against biological enemies. That's the way the publisher called them, biological enemies. And I was like, it threw me. I knew what he meant, but like what I pictured was like I'm going to be fighting like the manifestations of like viruses. Like, oh my god, those blood cells are about to kill me. So that was I played a lot more in the res section, but that's kind of what stuck out in my memory. Like I've got a bigger list here, but I'm looking and I'm like, I really don't remember a lot of these games. Yeah. Like beyond, I could picture it, but it's like, I don't really talk about it like too much. Like there's one where I've written it down and I'm just like, I don't remember that. But yeah, those are the ones I want to talk about.